My name is Dave Eek, and I am the Lord Mayor for the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake, the first capital of Upper Canada in 1792. Next year, 2012, is the start of a 3-year commemoration of the War of 1812, fought between Great Britain and its North American colony Canada and the United States of America. And we invite you to join us for the many heritage activities being planned.
Welcome to the Niagara Historical Society Museum. My name is Sarah Maloney. I'm the curator here. The Niagara Historical Society started in 1895 with Janet Carnahan. The museum's collection mostly focuses on Upper Canadian material and a lot of military artifacts as well. The main event for the museum is the Brock Ball, and that will be part of the Niagara Region's opening events calendar. This ball will be held at historic Fort George. So I invite you to come down to Niagara-on-the-Lake for the Bicentennial celebrations from 2012 to 2014. In particular, come visit us at the museum and check out our exhibits, check out our programs and our 1812 walking tours. If you need any more information, visit our website at niagarahistorical.museum.
Hello and welcome to Fort George, Niagara National Historic Site, Parks Canada. My name is Peter Martin. I am the supervisor of Fort George, and I'm dressed as a major in the Royal Engineers, which is very appropriate because over 200 years ago it was a Royal Engineer by the name of Gaultier who actually designed and built Fort George. Now, Fort George wasn't the first fort built in the area. Fort Niagara across the river on what's now the American side was originally built in the early to mid 1700s by the French. It becomes a British fort after the French-Indian War, or the 7 Years' War, and later an American fort after the American Revolution. The British aren't given a lot of time to abandon Fort Niagara, so they move quickly across the Niagara into now British North America and build Fort George directly behind me. Now, people often ask us, what was so important? Why did they build so many forts in this area? The answer is the Niagara River. An American officer during the War of 1812 commented, "He who controls the Niagara controls the rest of Canada." Fort George, therefore, was the headquarters for the Center Division of the British Army in North America. So a very important place. Actually, about 30 feet behind me is the original burial place of Major General Sir Isaac Brock during the War of 1812. Now, Fort George was destroyed by the American Army during the War of 1812. It is rebuilt while the Americans are occupying the town of Niagara, and then left to ruin. The grounds were used as a base of operations for training for World War I, World War II, even the Korean War for Canadian troops. The fort itself, though, lay in ruins until the 1930s when it was rebuilt by the Niagara Parks Commission and later acquired by Parks Canada. Many of the buildings inside the fort today are the original buildings that were made in the 1930s, making them historical artifacts onto themselves. But the fort was looking a bit tired and was in some cases falling over. So Parks Canada, with the help of the Economic Action Plan, helped revitalize and stabilize Fort George. The bastions behind me, for example, have all been redone. They look brand new. Many of the buildings inside the fort have been resided, the roofs refinished. Our entire palisade fence line around the entire fort has been restabilized. So the fort now looks much like it did just prior to the War of 1812, brand new and ready for a fight. We are very excited for the Bicentennial that's approaching next year. We're hoping that all of you will join us here for the celebration, celebrating 200 years of peace between our two great countries, Canada and the United States. And on behalf of Parks Canada, Fort George, and Niagara National Historic Sites, we hope to see you there.
It was on October 13th, 1812, the British made a tremendous victory at the Battle of Queenston Heights. Keeping in mind this comes on, relatively speaking, the heels of the Battle of Fort Detroit, which stiffens the resolves of the citizens of Upper Canada to support the British in this war. It starts very, very early in the morning. It's an invasionary force under the leadership of General Van Rensselaer. that's crossing at Lewiston, just up the river about 6 miles, and their intent is to take Queenston. And it's the sound of those guns that Sir Isaac Brock, of course, hears from his apartments in Niagara early in the morning. And he rides to the sound of the guns well ahead of his own reinforcements. Now, when he gets to the battlefield, what he finds, of course, is the British have pinned the Americans down on the shoreline. And the linchpin to this, of course, is a large cannon that's halfway up the escarpment on what they call the redoubt. He goes up there to make sure the cannon fire keeps the Americans pinned, and as a matter of fact, pulls down some of the men that he has at the heights, guarding it against any incursion by the Americans. As a result, the Americans are actually able to get up a goat path just upriver slightly, and they take the heights, and as a result start to fire down on this redoubt position. Brock and his men are forced to leave that position, and Brock realizes the importance of this cannon, and he leads a small assault up that hill. It's at this point, of course, that Sir Isaac Brock is killed, which is a tremendous loss to the British side. However, this then allows the Americans to come in force. They take control of the top of the heights, and it's really at this point we see the vital importance of the Aboriginal allies to the British cause. There are not that many of them, and they're under command of John Norton, but their size is all out of proportion to their presence on the battlefield. They are actually at the tree line, and every time the Americans try to force forward, they're running out, they're taking scalps, they're taking lives, and of course their war cries are echoing down the inside of that gorge. Now, these young men have been raised on tales by their fathers and grandfathers of the vicious wars that went on with the Aboriginals in the Ohio Valley and the Mohawk Valley, and they refused to cross. And without reinforcements, of course, the Americans are really stranded up on those heights and hemmed in by this small Aboriginal force. And during this whole time, of course, General Scaife here at Fort George has managed to get a number of reinforcements. They make the march up the river, and of course, they're able to enter onto the battlefield with the Americans penned in. And they come out of the tree line, they get off a quick volley, and then it's a bayonet charge. And it's this bayonet charge, of course, which causes so many of the American soldiers to surrender. And tragically, a number of them actually jump off the side of the escarpment into the gorge below and to their death rather than face those bayonets. One of the luminaries, of course, that's captured is Winfield Scott, who goes on, of course, to lead the attack on Fort George later after he's paroled. But Queenston Heights is absolutely an incredible victory for the British, and of course it's somewhat negated by the fact that Sir Isaac Brock has been lost. And this is the mastermind of the defense of Upper Canada. Oh, that King George and the President were here to see what their politics have wrought, destroying that which God has created. I'm Scott Finley for Canada Parks Agency and Niagara National Historic Sites, inviting you to join us for the 200th year recognition of the War of 1812. Join us here at Fort George as we relive history.
We look forward to seeing you and welcome you to Niagara-on-the-Lake. For more information on these and many more 1812 events and initiatives, please refer to our website, www.1812niagaraonthelake.ca.